Hello everybody, welcome back to another stream. I hope you're all doing fantastic. As always, we're back, but this time with something completely different. A brand new series, of course. That series is the airport editor, the scenery editor in Infinite Flight, which were recently shown to everybody in the community, right, and invited some new people, made it a public thing that you can sign up for, and it's brilliant. It's an amazing tool in Infinite Flight, of course. This is how we've been making airports 3D in Infinite Flight for well, since the very start now, and it's absolutely amazing. The way that this stream is going to happen today, the flow that we're going to go with, and of course, is completely different. There's no flight from here to there today. Completely different vibe today. We're just simply going to be editing a part of the airport, and that being this concourse here, Concourse L. Before we go, of course, into the editing and the rest of the stuff in the stream, I'll show you around, and then we'll invite Matt and Laura onto the stream. But the general flow of this stream will be Matt, Laura, and myself will be chatting away, answering questions in the chat, talking about things to do with the editor. And I'll mostly focus on editing this particular part of the airport here and concentrating, as it requires focus and concentration. I can't look and do two things at once when it comes to this, because it's not exactly easy to do, and it's very time consuming. So of course, to be able to fit it in the stream today and do as much as I can, I need to focus. But of course, Laura and Matt will be here to answer your questions and talk to you anyway. So yeah, the general flow will just be editing this part of the airport today, showing you around the editor, and giving you an introduction to what it's actually like, and what being an airport editor actually, is all about. So very quickly, let's take a look around the airport. This airport, I started progress on this airport a little while back with Levitt, and we've made a decent amount of progress. Of course, it's still very much not complete. There's a lot of work that needs to be done here, and I mean, what am I saying? Welcome to the scenery editor in Infinite Flight. This is exactly what it looks like, and you can see that we are here at this monstrous airport. It's massive, it's huge, and of course you can imagine this will take a fair amount of time in comparison to an airport of, let's say, an airport in Greece, for example, or a small single runway airport, because I believe this airport has something like 7 runways. I'm not too sure, of course. I definitely will know that for a fact when it gets later on down the line with editing this airport, but there's very much to do here, and it's going to be very time consuming. Of course, we're going to try and make this as quick as we possibly can and ship it to you in a future update. But let's have a look around here very quickly then, in the scenery editor. I'll just hide this gate information here so that it's not too congested, and so we can have a look around Chicago. If I go onto view and just hide the start locations here, we can take a look up close at the terminal area. And this is only one part of the airport. Just to put it into context, so far the object count is 5,614. 5,614 objects, and the airport is not even anywhere near complete yet. It's huge, it's massive, and of course, as I said, it's going to take time. But this sort of part of the airport, of course, we have, if we click on a part of the terminal here, we can see what it's named. So for example, this is Concourse E. Concourse E is near complete, of course. There's going to be 2D changes that need to be made, and more objects and some tweaks that need to be made before we can class this as finished and send it off for review. But this is the closest we can get to it being finished and showing it on the stream so far. Let's take a look around really quickly at the small details, all the lines, nodes, and dots that you can see here in the airport editor. It looks confusing at first, I can imagine, but I can assure you it's not. It gets easier when you start to learn how it works. But it's amazing, and it's such a powerful tool. It does some incredible things here in Infinite Flight, as you can tell. But heading back over to the other side of the airport then, we have this side. As you can see, there's a lot of lights here. There's a lot of lights that we've placed. A lot of objects here as well to try and make it as realistic as possible. And some ground objects to just try and bring it to life a little bit. Let's head back over to the part of the airport that we're going to be editing today, which is this Concourse L. Anyway, with that being said, I'm not going to stall for too long. It would be lovely to get Laura and Matt on the stream. Again, it's completely different vibe to normal. It's chill, relaxed editing vibes. There's no flying, there's no crash landings or anything like that. not like I've crashed a plane on a stream before, but I mean, it might happen one day. Potentially later on in the stream, we'll show a work in progress shot. I say potentially, we will show a work in progress shot. It's a very awesome shot, so that's definitely one to look forward to. And maybe we can let Matt do a giveaway on this stream, seeing as it's technically Matt's face reveal, I guess, right? There we go. Let's go ahead and get them onto the stream then in just a second. Just bear with me for just a moment whilst I go ahead and set this up. I'll zoom out and show you the airport whilst we wait for that. I will, of course, answer as many questions as we possibly can. But it looks like Matt and Laura are ready, so I'm going to give them a call on my end here and set up some things in the streaming software that we're using here. It should automatically be done, but of course we'll see. Laura and Matt, that's it. If you could just enable your cameras, that'd be amazing. Awesome. There we go. Okay, so introducing Laura and Matt. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you here.
Thanks, great to be here.
I bet this is different for you. Different vibe completely.
It's not that bad though. It's be fun.
Well, there's going to be lots of questions and lots of stuff to talk about today, of course, since this is the first time we've streamed such a thing. But Matt, I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, but for those who don't, would you like to give a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. My name is Matt. Most of you guys know me as Deer Crusher. One of the forum moderators on the Infinite Flight community. Been helping out Infinite Flight for a few years now, and more notably with the airport editing team, trying to get everyone squared away and making sure that this thing takes off, no pun intended. But outside of Infinite Flight, I'm a private corporate pilot, however you want to call it, regional pilot turned out of the airlines and venturing off into a corporate jet now. So I'm flying the Challenger 350 now.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's kind of really about it. That's about it.
So there's only one fake pilot in this stream, and that's me.
Yeah, well, it's a battle between you and Regan for all we're aware.
Laura, what's up? Welcome back, Laura. This is probably your 1 millionth time of being on a stream. How's it going?
Very good. Yeah, just came back from a few days off. Being reacquainted with the code after 5 days of not working. 4 days.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I've gave everybody a brief introduction of what we're going to do here on this stream. Of course, I'm going to focus on a particular part of the airport, layering and showing how part of an airport can go from 2D to 3D. Whilst doing that, of course, you two are now more than welcome to answer questions. And maybe, Laura, I think off the bat, it would be nice, before we do any of that sort of stuff, would be to talk about some of the basics of the editor. Is there anything that you would like me to show on the stream? Maybe placing a few objects and dragging them around and repositioning, showing how they work?
Yeah, that's, I mean, the concept of the editor is basically to edit an airport. Because, like, some people sometimes think that we can just import stuff from Google or from other sources, but when we can maybe get taxiways and some of the building layouts, getting the position of, like, the accurate position of jet bridges, vehicles like this, or any other kinds of things, there's no data set that has this information, and even if there was, it would be extremely expensive, especially for a simulator. So we decided to go with the editor route so that we have a way for our users to create the content that's going to be used in the sim. But there's multiple parts. There's obviously the buildings, like you see behind the terminals and all that. This is like a type of things that we can edit in the sim. But there's also objects that are pre-made, like the jet bridges or any kind of 3D things like the poles, cones, baggage carts, those types of things that are going to be static or sometimes moving, these have to be placed manually around the airport. So that's what the airport editor does basically, is to create airports from scratch, and that's of course entirely done in Infinite Flight. There's no separate app on PC or Mac. It's just part of the Infinite Flight application. You just start in a different mode once you have access to the scenery editor, and this is how you create those airports.
Currently spawning random things in.
Yeah, exactly.
A radar, fire training aircraft.
Yeah. But there's ways to like place those objects, move them around, and it seems like at the beginning, when you start a project like this, it's just like, okay, I could just like place an object and move it around and then call it a day. There's tons of little things that we need to take into account, because if you place an object or a set of objects and then you realize they were a few meters off or a few centimeters off, you need multiple selection and be able to rotate, move multiple objects. So there's tons of little things to solve. You need also copy and paste. You need undo and redo, even though it's not perfect in the current state. But you need those kinds of helpers also to adjust the height of objects. So for example, if you realize the airport altitude was not the right one, and we need to update the altitude of every single object, but there's some objects that are not on the floor, so you cannot all flatten them out. We need a way to have offsets for all the objects or part of the objects, or sometimes you need to select just a few objects because there's tons of little things that we need to implement to have a full editor that allows things like this to work. And the fact that it's on iPad or just mobile device in general adds a little more complexity to that mix, because we don't have shift or control keys that we can use like on PC or Mac. Everything has to be done with just the fingers.
And I mean, it's incredible.
Fingers, yeah, you can use an Apple Pencil too, or another Bluetooth device, such as a Bluetooth mouse. We have a few editors that use that as well.
Yeah, I actually edit on PC. We have some of the features that
Flex.
are working on PC. So when I want to select multiple things, I just use Control and Shift, and all those features are working on PC. But on device, we need to have a little hacks here and there to make sure that the editing is still intuitive and we don't waste time. And a lot of effort was spent on the editor looking at the inefficiencies, and I've used the editor quite a bit at the beginning to figure out the pain points. Basically, like trying to edit an airport and try to find every time that I was kind of like, ugh, this part sucks. I have to do it, like I have to click here and here and here like 50 times to do this one thing. So kind of going back and like, okay, how can I simplify this whole workflow to go faster? And that's pretty fun to do. Yeah. And of course, the editors like Matt are helping out also because they use it. They've become like, it's the same as the ATC system. Like I've built the ATC system, but I'm a terrible ATC controller. And same for the buildings. The airport editors have, become masters of building things in there. So now
almost too good in some occasions.
It's pretty insane. Yeah, we Philippe and I, when we started working on this, like the initial designs, we really didn't think that they would take it this far, but it's pretty cool.
Well, you mentioned Matt there and his contributions in the community. Matt, would you like to explain the part you play with regards to scenery editing?
Sure. I am one of four. Excuse me. I am one of four airport moderators on the scenery editing team. I assist Adam Callow, Moritz, and Bruno. And all four of us, we work alongside of the Infinite Flight staff, making sure that the airport editors have everything that they need. If they have issues that they're finding with the editor, or various questions that they might have that need a more technical answer, where those liaisons, we relay to the staff and the devs what their concerns are. But on my end, I've kind of taken on this role of the invitation aspect for the airport editors. So I've kind of taken on that role. So there's a post pinned in the scenery editing category on that Infinite Flight community, which I'll link here in just a moment. But there's an application there that is available for anyone to sign up. It's a Google form, so you do have to log in with a Google email. However, those emails are not reported. That's just to ensure that each person submits only one application so that it doesn't overload our application system. But the way that process works right now is you submit your application. There's, I believe, 3 or 4 questions, just real basic questions, and it doesn't determine exactly where or when you'll get placed into a group. There are various developments within Infinite Flight, such as the 𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗡𝗟 and the F-18, that we are kind of prioritizing. So we're kind of looking for airports, or folks that are going to be editing airports that are either military or liveries that would be found on the 𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗡𝗟. So we're kind of prioritizing those regions and those folks first. Once we have all of those covered, we'll start moving on to everyone else. So it's just kind of a slow process. We're still working on expanding the editing team in a slow but efficient manner. We don't want to add 200 people right away, because that would, number one, it wouldn't help the editors that we have right now, nor the reviewers or moderators, but it also wouldn't allow us to dedicate the time that we could to assist you with, this new tool for you to have. So when was it? On Saturday, we added another 40 folks to the editing team. And that was about a week after we added group 1. And I've mentioned it a few times, there's no set time or duration between each group that we plan to add people. It's just based on the editors that were just added, them showing to us that they know how to use the editor and that they can pretty much self-sustain themselves with little to no help, occasional help here and there, but nothing too crazy. So it's working out so far, and I think group 3 has 45 or 50 folks already. I've got that group ready to go, and just a matter of time when this second group is got the editor figured out. But it's a lot to work with. The editor is kind of it's a hunt and peck sort of thing. You're looking and figuring out where things are at and what things do, but once you figure it out, it goes pretty smooth. I mean, we've seen some folks finish airports in a little as a couple days, and some big airports like Atlanta or let's just use Atlanta for example. Some of these take months, so it's not a quick process.
Thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm currently changing the facades on the lower part of the concourse here to make it as realistic as possible. And you can see that I'm having to individually click between certain nodes and apply the facade. And this is another part that can potentially be time consuming. And I think for me, I don't know, because I like to go into a lot of detail when layering, but layering is quite a time consuming part of editing, because it's, you aim to get it spot on as close to the real thing as you possibly can. So that's what we're going to be doing here. But yeah, you can see.
I was going to offer a tip for you, kind of going back to that section there. If you put your finger on the screen and just drag it to make that rectangular selection, you can select multiple faces of that building and change the facade in one tap.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. But if my Infinite Flight crashes, then we have to relaunch. So I'll give it a go.
You could blame me for that.
let's give it a shot.
Yeah, it's gotta be Matt's fault.
Yeah, it's all Matt's fault.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll try it on a smaller portion.
Just make sure you're selecting the faces.
Okay, yeah, no, I see there. Yeah, there you go. Right, let's take it bigger portion by bigger portion. See how much it can take. There we go. Okay, right. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for the tip.
There you go.
There's still parts of the airport editor, and I've been editing for quite a while now. And there's still parts that even to this day, as you can tell, that I'm still learning. Some things I don't even know because it's just like it's amazing. There's so many cool things you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's another hidden feature that I don't think many editors know, is that there's a hidden ruler in the app.
Oh yeah.
And if you put 2 fingers on the screen and hold it, a ruler will come up, and you can stretch and twist the ruler, and it'll give you all sorts of degrees and measurements, so you can be a little bit more accurate that way too.
Yeah, I'm showing on the screen right now.
Yeah, there's been requests
go.
to enhance the system to make it kind of stick, because now if you let go, like you have to be precisely positioned to do it. But I think it was Jan who asked me this, to kind of have them like the 2 points stick once you start, so you can move 1 point individually to have more precise measurement. Yeah, so it's a work in progress, all experiments and trial and error, and see how people use everything.
I remember when I was added to scenery editing, and I had no clue what I was doing when I first joined the editing team, and I was pressing random buttons and dragging loads of fingers across the screen. I remember the ruler come up, and I was so confused because I didn't know what it was at first, and I didn't know how to keep using it because it's the tap and hold with 2 fingers feature. Oh, there we go. It's we've had a crash. Right, stand by. We'll be back in just a second.
Lose it all.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
There we go. We're back. So that's, I mean, yeah, autosave. That's what we mentioned when we pause there. Of course, you can see a part of the concourse here. We can see if it's saved. Let's have a look.
It should be.
Local save. Let's have a look at 26, 24. We can try and restore it and see. Yeah, so the last save was just this part here, which is missing, but I can do that again. But it's one of them things that happens during editing, and it can be unfortunate sometimes. I remember when I first started off, I wasn't expecting it, so I went really hardcore and made some really cool things, and it crashed. And I remember I got really stressed out because I still at this point wasn't too familiar with how to get the progress back, and Cam fortunately helped me out. But crashes can be very stressful and very irritating sometimes. But it's another of them things that, as an editor, you have to adapt to really and work around and stay committed.
I mean, that's it's like in aviation, the autosave is written in blood, because there's all of us. We've early airport editor users. We've been burned by stuff that we've done for like multiple hours and to have completely deleted. And there's even one that was pretty terrible. Like there's just a regular crash where it doesn't save the thing, right? And there was another one where when we loaded things, because it was my fault, but when I loaded the data, there was like some indices that I was reading wrong. And we were loading stuff properly, but in parts of the airport, especially at big airports, other objects would be just deleted, and you wouldn't know about it for like maybe a day until you go back to that other part of the airport. And you're like, where did my objects go? It took us a long time to figure out why would some random objects on the other side of the airport just disappear during the autosave. And I forgot exactly what the problem was, but I think it was related to like some indices that were like I was loading some objects and deleting from a list, and I think it was not getting indices from the right array and deleting the objects. So yeah, I think Jen was really unhappy about this. It's kind of demotivating, like especially at the beginning when you're trying to build something. It really props to the early editors for sticking with this because it must have been really stressful.
But we got really efficient building things fast though back then, because
Yeah.
we knew well, after we built the terminal 5 times, we're like, okay, I think I figured out how to do this, by
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, no, it's fun, and there's this way of building the objects is far from optimal. Like the way Philippe and I designed this system was so that people can create entire terminals, like basic terminals, without spending too much time, and like having the baggage area downstairs and the passenger loading area. I don't know, and it works great, but there's it was too simplistic, and so editors kind of went around all this and designed their own sets of layers to compensate for the facades that we didn't have. So that's why you see what Dan is doing right now was not planned in the original design. You were not supposed to be, or even allowed to do this. You were supposed to use a basic facade, and if you didn't have what you needed, we needed to create a new facade that had this kind of thing. But there's so much variety, in the airport in general. Like they have different types of windows, different types of layers and things, and so people just started creating different types of layers. So we're gonna improve this system. We just don't exactly know yet, like the final form that it's gonna take, or like the next form. And by the way, Dan, I just noticed something. There's like,
What's going on?
yeah, if you go back to the previous one, so point number 22, in that list, you can probably take that one out. If it's a straight line between,
Oh yeah. Is that
between
something to
point-
do with performance that you've picked up on?
well, it's creating. If you don't need to have it split, just don't split it. If
Okay.
it's the same line, which isn't like there's another feature that people had mentioned regarding like the points and aligning those points, because sometimes they had to create facades with different types of parts of the building, but they couldn't really line up the points because they had to split them, and sometimes they moved them. So now we have an option, like you can select one point and another, and then just say straighten the line. So it's going to take the line between the first and the last point that are selected
Okay.
and straighten everything out between them, like in the middle. That's a good technique. And also like things that we need that are
And can you select
beginning.
multiple layers when you do that? So for example, the top and the bottom here, of course,
No.
you can't. So I would have
No.
to
You have to be in like modify shape.
modify shape. Okay.
Yeah. You cannot be in modify shape for multiple objects.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would become a little too complicated. Yeah, and this is
especially when,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, especially when layering, I always make sure that I have that very bottom layer, kind of the perfect one, because if I'm gonna copy it, everything else that goes up
Yeah.
from there,
Yeah.
it's just gonna be a copy of that perfect layer.
And in this
Yeah.
instance, that's exactly what I've just realized here, with the whole creating lines and whatnot, is that the bottom layer is now the layer which is off. It's the inaccurate layer. So I think the best idea now would to be delete this top layer, make the bottom layer perfect, and then build off of that, so that I don't have to keep tapping on each node and point and dragging it to where it needs to be,
Yeah.
because otherwise
Well,
that's
there's,
time consuming.
And the little things, the little helpers that we've added. At the beginning, we didn't have snapping. So now you have snapping of points. So for example, if you're trying to layer something, but the points are a little off, if you move a point and you say on the menu, like I want to snap points, it is going to snap the point that you're currently moving to the nearest one. So it snaps to the line first and then the points, because people were asking at some point, well, I have a T, like something that connects to like parts of an object. So it's not snapping to a node, but snapping to a line. So we have to add snapping to a line. And then we had to add snapping to the same type of objects, because sometimes you're trying to build, like you're trying to draw one of those lines on the tarmac, but you want to snap to another line and you don't care about the pavement. So you have to say, I want to snap to everything or snap to same type. So there's tons of little things that have to be taken into account that you don't necessarily see at the beginning, but after using it, you're like, it frustrates you, and you're like, okay, I need this, because it's wasting my time, and I have to click more times than I should.
I have one question with regards to, of course, deleting points and using less of these and whatnot. Is the whole issue with, I mean, originally we had a problem with when you had less points on long edges, you'd have the issue where when you spawn in, it would glitch out.
Yeah.
Is that not so much a thing anymore when it comes to editing? Because I'm out of the loop with that one.
This is fine now.
Oh, it's fine now.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
I think the
Okay.
latest,
Is that
yeah.
is that the bending? The bending of the
Yeah,
wall?
yeah, the slight
the-
fading and glitching of the layers on top of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the same kind of thing that we've had on the planes. You know, when you had the kind of slats going under the wing, all those kinds of precision issues. They're because we render things that are close to your eye and far from your eye. So it's like, if people want to look into it, it's called Z buffer and Z fighting. And it's an issue when you have extremely long ranges of view, you know, going from like a few centimeters to your eye to, 300 kilometers plus. And video games sometimes use tricks for this, or sometimes they limit the distance. But in a flight simulator, we have to have range from like 0.1 meter to like infinity almost. And that causes issues. But this is solved now in the latest update. I think we solved it in 22.4. Yeah.
It's great to know.
There's no need now to add more points.
Well, you learn something new every day. Right.
You can see
I'm
that.
glad you're showing this, Dan, because this is what takes the longest. This is the side that people, this is the aspect people don't really get to see and probably don't understand. Why does an airport take so long? And this is a prime example.
And picture this times the size of this airport, for example.
And this is a big airport too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a big place.
And it can sometimes be a little demotivating when it's like you don't see the progress.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing to mention with regards to, of course, now sharing this progress and this scenery editor with the public. Is beforehand, especially for me on this airport, I started progress on this a little while back with Levitt, and admittedly it got demotivating because it was generally massive. It's so big, it's huge, and it just felt like it was taking forever. And of course, trying to schedule it into free time as well, it was consuming quite a lot of time. So it got to the point where it wasn't very beneficial for me to spend all of my time on it because it was taking absolutely forever. And I thought, okay, well, I'll do it in increments and do it bit by bit. But now, of course, being able to share it with the public as well, it definitely, especially for a lot of editors as well, makes it more motivating to be able to share their progress. Because it was one of those things where when this was all private, everybody was dying to show, what they've done, because it takes a long time, as you can see. And it's very rewarding when of course, and especially before it was public, when your airport got added into the simulator itself, it was a very rewarding feeling. And now being able to show it to everybody is even more rewarding than that. So it definitely motivates you more, especially to create more airports and crack on and make loads of progress, for sure.
Yeah, it does make a difference when you can share what you do. And the credit all goes to the editors for this. Like, I had someone message me this morning, like, "Oh, thank you for the airports in Germany." Like, I had no parts in it. Like the editors did everything. All we did was build the editor, and people took it from there. And I think that's what's great about this whole new part of the sim, that we're trying to open it more to the community for those kinds of efforts, and there's more things that we're trying to open in the future. So it's really great.
All right, let's see here.
I
I think I've got to the point where I can copy and paste now. Yeah, I'd say so.
It looks pretty good now.
I'll defer to the experts.
Oh wait, of course,
I
no
didn't say
way.
it looked right. I said it looks pretty good.
Like, all right, I guess that'll do.
I guess that'll do.
Yeah.
Of course, there'll be small perfections and whatnot made behind the scenes as well. With this being such a big airport, of course, we're not going to stream the absolute entire thing being built, due to the fact that it would just take absolutely forever, a lot of hours and days. So the small perfections will most likely be made away from streams. But just to give you a general idea of the scenery editor itself and building a particular part of the airport, that's what we're doing here today.
There's a question that I saw. So, what was originally wrong with JFK? Forgot who wrote it. So JFK actually was, it was in the sim for some time, and it didn't have the 𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗟 that were animated, because like the work had already been started for like the rework, the version 2 of it. And after review, we noticed that the number of objects that were created was way too high, and we needed to kind of take it down a notch. So we told the editor to kind of go back to it and try to see if they could optimize. So I've gone over a few times to the airport, and took a helicopter and fly over. Of course, this is how I review my airports. And there's a few when you layer buildings, for example, there's ways that we have now to remove the roof or the ceiling, the ceiling or the floor, and there were some parts of the airport that had a lot of layers that still had those parts in, and that adds a lot of polygons because we have to tessellate those objects. So if for a when we render things, when we render things in any game, everything has to go down to triangles. We always all the time we split what we call tessellate those objects into triangles. So something like the roof here has to be split with some kind of algorithm to a set of triangles. So even if it's the faces that Dan is editing right now, even if it looks like a square, we cannot render a square. We have to split it in two to make two triangles. And that process adds a lot of polygons, especially if the model is very complex. If there's lots of little creases and angles and stuff like that, the algorithm creates a very complex set of triangles. And so we had to simplify. It's best if those triangles are not visible, that they're not even loaded and not created. So we need to hide those roofs and floors. And another thing we noticed, for example, was on the air train, the pillars that are holding the frame of the train, and in general, like a lot of pillars in the sim, the editors create them from a very detailed circle, and it creates a lot of those triangles. Again, for something that's sometimes very small, like a small pillar, could just be like maybe three, like a circular thing, but only with like 4 or 5. It doesn't have to be perfectly like a perfect circle. So we had we told them to go back and simplify those pillars, and it helped a lot. It's still a pretty big airport, pretty heavy, but we can always go back and try to optimize. It's a good way for us to benchmark and see, okay, for now, we have this problem, let's try to optimize it. And another thing, the problem with there's one I mentioned in a past stream, that the first airport that we designed was SFO, and we were using an older rendering technique that caused the SFO airport to be at about 1 frame per second on PC. So that was pretty terrible. So what we ended up doing was something called instancing. So when we render a lot of, let's say, baggage carts, we can all render them like at once, and that's very slow because you have to reset everything at once to render one, and then you have to reset the lighting, the material, the texture, and then every single time. And there's something called instancing, where we can say, okay, this is the model we're going to load, the texture and the material, they're all the same, and we're going to ask you to render this 50 times at these positions. So with one draw call, we can render, 50 identical cards, and that goes super fast. The problem with the buildings is that they're all unique, right? So even if the layers are somewhat similar, their size is different. The vertices, like the triangles, are different. The texture is different. So we cannot render them all at once. So they're still split calls. So we're gonna have to go and try to see if we can optimize this a little bit. We still render them by texture. So like we try to group them by material. So all the building parts that use a specific material, we're gonna try to render them all at once, like set the material and render them all at once. But it's still pretty intensive for the GPU to do that. Anyway, sorry, took too long.
That's okay. I love it. I love it when
though.
yeah, it's amazing information. I love it when one question sparks that slight of excitement in you, Laura, because you go into so much detail. It's great.
If really were in the stream, it'd be like too much detail, simplify.
Yeah. My mind can't handle it.
Sorry. I mean,
no,
you can always go back in the stream and search for some of the terms. There's usually some game developers online that go over some game development simplification, or those kinds of things like this, like how games are made, and they explain those concepts for people that do not have the experience of making games. So something to think about. There was another question that I saw. If I'm excited for AirVenture. Absolutely. Leaving in 9 days. So I'm super pumped.
Laura's flying her X-Cub all the way there.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't. It's too dangerous. I don't want to. I'd spend the whole week being worried about tornado warnings and stuff. So that's part of the country is not weather friendly. Yeah. So for those who don't know, AirVenture. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Aviator Alex says, if there are many of the same aircraft livery combinations at an airport, are they rendered using said instancing?
Yes, that's what we do. We use the same. So in the way we design the airplane, like the airport editor and the airport rendering in general, we use the same kind of system to render everything else. So you probably will notice that if you have like 10 airplanes that have 10 different liveries, and even like there are 10 different airplane types. There's no two planes that are the same. It's going to be much slower than if you load 5 757s with the same livery.
Gotcha.
It's still pretty heavy, but it's faster than if we didn't have instancing.
Oh no!
Right. We can hear the sound before that.
Oh, no. Right, we'll be right back. Cool. Right, we're back, everybody. Sorry for the inconvenience there. There was one of two crashes.
Someone said typical editor crash. Come on.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had
Think badly
autosave.
on me.
Where was that question? The mobile pilot says, Laura and Matt, what is your favorite airport? Favorite airport? Oh, man. Actually, I think I was there yesterday.
Flex.
IRL or
and
Infinite Flight?
no. Oh, actually, well, I guess I'm assuming it's in Infinite Flight. NVVV, NVVV. I don't remember the name of the airport, but I did that one. I made that one for Air Vanuatu. I think is how you say the airline for the A220.
Yeah.
It's an island out there. It's really beautiful though. Oh, he meant me and like in the sim to edit.
For me,
I don't know. They're all fun.
Yeah.
I've lost track of which airports I've done now.
the ones that I've done, there's probably been all deleted now. It's SFO is the first one we worked on. I'll have to look back because the first building that was created was, I think it was one of the cargo terminals on the north east side. Yeah, that was one of the first ones that was created.
Yeah, and that airport's getting a makeover too right now. So
Yeah, they have a good new terminal.
hopefully that'll be done sometime.
Yeah. And what else have I done? There's a few that I've participated on, especially like the taxiway layout naming, because we're also working on for like future taxiway guidance and stuff like that. We're also working on naming the taxiways. And as usual, I have to dog food the thing before I send it to editors, because otherwise I get tons of bugs and for stuff that are obvious. So yeah, I named, I think, most of SFO, most of LAX, a lot of Charles de Gaulle too. I've done my own airport here of Tusu and also Palo Alto.
I was gonna say Palo Alto was the other one that you used a lot.
Yeah, Palo Alto was the one. Yeah, it's the one that gave me the idea to create the green concrete.
The green concrete's awesome.
Yeah, when they redid it, they added the green concrete. I was like, oh, this would look nice.
Yeah.
And it was a perfect fit for LAX too.
Yeah, I know. It just looks so nice to have the green concrete now.
Yeah.
I heard we need a red concrete too. There's like a red concrete.
That would be awesome, especially for equipment parking zones, for example. Anything like vehicle-wise and cones and whatnot, when they're away from aircraft, they're placed in red zones.
Even red lines, right? We need to.
Yeah, red lines. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be fun. And I've read that the greened pavement is actually to mimic grass. To make pilots think that it's grass and they can't taxi on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
No way.
Yep. San Diego has them too. San Diego has the green cement too.
Matt's speaking from experience here.
I've never taxied on one, no. Thank goodness. Yeah.
That's fun.
Let's see. What other questions?
Signage. Can we add signage to the editor for adding onto terminals in a hangar? Yeah, something we're thinking of, but it requires. It's better for us to wait for the new stuff we're working on, like that are Kevin and Philippe are working on now. Like we talked about this in the last streams. The whole kind of rework of the graphics engine, and this will be easier to do once we have that. So, yeah.
Would that include? And I'm only wearing it, but like how the runways have the stamped, paint on the pavement. Would that be included in that?
Yeah, I think so. We're probably. I mean, this is part of the things that will be easier to do once we have this new like work done.
Okay.
Yeah, because now it's a lot of hacking, and there's a lot of things that we've put on hold now, like that we could do, but we've put on hold because we would have to redo it in the new system. So we'd rather just, put a pin in it for now, and like once it's ready, we'll go back and add these things.
Gotcha. Cool.
Slope roofs in the editor. Yeah, it's something that would be interesting.
What's the that sparks the question for me. I'm not too sure if you've spoke to me about this before in the past or anything, but what's the problem with sloped roofs? Of course, roofs, because we have it at LAX for, of course, the custom terminal. But from an editor perspective, what's the limitations
Probably
there?
my incompetence. I'm not a fan of playing with what we call vertices and indices and that type of thing. It's not my cup of tea. I did it for the buildings that you're working on now, but it's just not. It's something that I'm not a big fan of doing. So what I think would be fun to have, because like if you talk about sloped roofs, we could have different types of roofs, but like how do you make a very specific roof, or like it would I think it would solve some problems, but it wouldn't solve all the problems that we want to solve. And I'm kind of thinking that if we had ways to import models that come from an editor on the iPad or Blender or something like that, that would make things a lot easier. And it's something that we're thinking of, because with the new rendering system we're working on, the format of the objects is going to change, and this could allow us to have better like a better flow for third-party 3D add-ons. Like, for example, you want to add your own terminal, you could build it. Maybe it goes through some kind of validator to make sure that it's not using all the textures and all the memory and everything. But it could be a system that could be implemented, because like if you go, if you want to have slope proof, we also want to have different types of primitives, right? So if you use 3ds Max or Blender, you usually start from primitives, right? You start from a circle, a cone, or a pipe, or a tube, or any of those kind of basic primitives. And then you need to modify the point, the vertices, but not in 2D like we do here, but in 3D, right? So you need to be able to scale, move. So you're basically down to recoding an entire 3D editor, which is a huge endeavor. And it feels like it's something that we should more leverage the external editors to do this work for us, and then import those objects, even if it's with our default textures. So it's kind of like stuff that we're researching, and it's ongoing. The research on this. Maybe that was too long answer.
Roof orientation. Right. Okay. There's a building perfectly on top of another building. There we go. With the facades changed a little bit for where the gates will go. And that took quite a bit of time. I think as well, it's just it's different as well. When I'm editing away from camera, I go into this, because being on a stream as well, you have to be presentable. I think I'm worrying about that as well. Sometimes when I'm editing, I'm either half asleep laying in bed or just somewhere completely random, just editing airports rather than sitting behind the camera. So, excuse me, I'm trying to look professional and try my best here in a very hot room with a window closed.
Yeah, no one's judging you.
No, yeah, of course.
I mean, you edit whatever way you can, but no one's commenting and judging.
There we go. Well,
I mean, some people may, the experts.
The experts, yeah, of course.
I think the vast majority of people watching probably won't judge you.
No, of course. And I think as long as things are done right, it's fine, and we all have our own way of doing things anyway, as long as they're done the correct way. And as I say, there's still things that I'm learning to this day, some features that get added that I never knew they existed until a couple months after they've been added or something. So then I'm trying to learn them because I didn't know they exist. So
the model lines is one of the most like the longed feature. because people spend so much time. So can you share like how we used to add like fences, like back in the day?
What, individually?
Oh, goodness.
Right. So back in the day,
one by one.
we have
Yeah, sure.
stretches of fences that have a fixed size. I think it's 3 meters. And whenever you wanted to add a fence around the airport, because I think it adds a sense of closure to the airport, feels like there's like some kind of security, and it feels like it's enclosed. There was no way to. We used to like add a couple and then copy paste them. So like you add like he's doing here, and then you need to copy like set the orientation and copy the object and move it to a little further down, and then you need to copy those two and create another two. And sometimes when you had to make the turns, it took forever because you needed to align everything. So it was really painful. It took a long time. And if they were not positioned right, or the angle was not right to begin with, then you have to redo everything. So then one feature that people requested was a way to draw those with a line and set an object on it. So that's when the model lines came to life. And so, yeah, if you could demo that.
The lines. This is something that I haven't even learnt, Laura.
Oh, you haven't tried? Okay.
I haven't tried it. Show me. Give me a tutorial.
Okay.
Because honestly, if I'm being honest, the way I've been doing it is the way I learn and have stuck to, and I have just
Oh my goodness.
copied fences.
Your mind.
Will it blow my mind? Will it make my editing life a lot easier?
Right.
Okay,
That's
right. Teach me, please. I would love to know.
Go to object. I believe
Yep.
it's under object, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So click on object
Model line.
on the
model
left
line.
side. Yeah, and then model line.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can I think the default is the barbed wire, the fence line that you were using. So
Yeah.
just tap 2 points down.
2 points.
Like
Okay.
you would draw. Like
Wow,
you would draw
okay.
Yeah. And then you can make curves and
And
whatnot,
that's-
and it'll.
I-
Yeah. It's just like making taxiway lines.
Wow,
Yeah.
I
For what
didn't.
it's worth.
Oh look. Okay. So for example, if I was to too tight of a turn, you'd still need to, of course, make some adjustments there. But
Yeah,
Wow.
If it's, tight,
Yeah.
if it's less than 3 meters, like the last one is typically overlapping, and you can also change the type of objects. If you go into the properties, the properties, what's it called, property grid on the right
Property.
side.
okay.
And then it's a object name, I think. At the top.
Yeah, this one you can select. The fun one is to select the spotter.
This
You do
was-
an army of Moritz.
Oh, this makes so much sense now. The shots that you share internally with loads of objects placed next to each other. This is
Yes.
how. Right, there we go. Okay. I always wondered what is
That's how you
Laura
make
doing
an army
here.
of Moritz.
Where's Moritz? Let's have a look. Is it alphabetically, or is it random?
Maybe it is. I'm not sure what that list is kind of sketchy. I need to work on that list to at least have the thumbnails.
I think it's sorted by how the library is sorted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got you. Should we do a line of A380s?
I mean, it works.
The line might be too short to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's see.
You could do, or like cones maybe. You can do cones
we've got-
or the Moritz if you find it.
wind socks
Yeah.
here. There we go.
One of
Look-
the first ones
look
I
at
did
this.
was the fire extinguishers, in case you want to crash your plane somewhere and you need a load of them for YouTube cloud. But they were too big to fit in pants, so.
Loads of wind socks here. What else have we got?
Yeah, and you can adjust also. You can adjust the repeat and the angle too. So there's like an angle offset, and it works. It works pretty well.
This is so awesome. This has saved so much time. The other day, I was putting a fence around the entire perimeter of 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗟𝗏. Not one by one, but with copy and paste. Now I know. Sorry.
You didn't read the documentation.
I clearly didn't know. That's an
Maybe
example of
read
when
it.
something new happens, I just plow on with the way that I've learned and don't pay attention
Yeah.
to what's actually new, which maybe I should. It's a good idea.
Yeah, so you can adjust the orientation offset
Oh,
on the
now you can
parameter
drag
grid.
it around as well. This is awesome. Orientation offset. Okay. Oh, yeah,
So
look at this.
that
They're dancing. Oh, yeah. That's so cool. Nice.
We're gonna have an editor. Make us
Look
a
at this.
video of
This is crazy.
dancing
That
pallet dollies.
they're
you can
driving.
adjust
Look at
also-
this. They're driving.
yeah, the center offset and like the spacing also, because sometimes
Oh, wow. This is great. Oh wow, that's amazing. Right, okay.
I had to like cap the spacing to a certain number, because if you went like to a spacing that was way too little, then you created an infinite amount of objects.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess you can tap on that line and delete the section and all the awesome stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. Right, let me
That's a feature that was born from requests from the editors, because they spend too much time on things, and also like it's something that also I had issues with, because the reason why Palo Alto fence was never done for a long time is because of this, because I'm like, I'm not doing this, it's taking too long, and eventually I redid it with that system, and it works pretty well.
Good job. Well, that's helped out a lot.
Yeah, it makes fencing go by really quick.
Yeah, we initially thought of limiting it just to fences, because we didn't want people to use it for other purposes, but now you can use anything, and we just ask people not to go too crazy with
Yeah.
with this stuff.
Right, let's see then.
So someone's asking, can you make Paris, Orly, Lima Foxtrot Papa Oscar in 3D? And if you want to participate, you can apply to become an editor with
Just see if I have that link.
this person down there, right here. Matt, who has a consent, but we can probably put the link to the maybe the forum posts.
Dan, can I send it to you and you could pin it in here or something? Or do something with it?
Or post it in the description at some point.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd like to even comment it, I can pin it in the chat. It's entirely up to you.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Does this work?
Yeah, because the airports were like Infinite Flight is not like we're not building them. We used to the first few ones were done internally, but now it's a team of editors that applied to become editors, and there's a self kind of regulating system with review and all that that Matt is kind of handling and masterfully, I might add, and we thank him for that.
Yeah, we have quite a few reviewers. Oh man, I wish I knew how many. We have maybe a dozen or 24 reviewers that help make sure all these airports are up in tip-top shape and they get the final sign-off and good to go. So
And what's the typical kind of things that you see in reviews like this?
the biggest item is snapping, I think. It's amazing how much snapping makes a difference in terms of cleaning an airport up and making it look like it's done perfect. You know, if you see a little sliver of dirt or grass, you know, between two pieces of concrete, you know, it just kind of like, it doesn't look like it was completely finished. But,
Yeah.
you know, when that's snapped between, you know, the pavement and the building, or between two different pieces of pavement, it really polishes it off. So I think that's kind of the biggest ticket item.
Right.
Other than that, that's just, yeah, it's kind of really about it. But we, the reviewers have a big checklist, you know, and they're looking for various items, and the editors have access to that checklist as well, so they know exactly what the reviewers are looking for. So they're pretty well prepared.
And ahead of time, there's like a few things that we try to figure out like programmatically. So there's if you go in file, there's like file, and you can go into a scenery stats or scenery checker, and that's going to show a list of possible issues. So for example, if you copy and paste and have cones that are in the same space, if you go to scenery checker, it's on the tab on the right.
Oh yeah, I was just on that. Let me go back onto it.
Yep.
Yep.
So because the stream is delayed and we don't
Yeah,
have
I know.
real time, so kind of awkward. So scenery check on the tab, and it shows you like if you have two cones that are overlapping, it's going to tell you like there's two cones that are the same altitude, same position. It's not the best to keep it like this. It's wasting like performance. Did you click on?
Should I press check scenery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh look, here we go. Dollies everywhere.
And it'll also tell you if like taxiway names are not
So is this
identified correctly and whatnot.
because this is quite excessive? I didn't realize that. I mean, I didn't place any ground objects here.
You can do like you can select items. If you
Yeah.
click on select items at
Yeah.
the bottom, this takes you to. I mean, it selects the items that are in question. You
Okay,
have to
yeah.
kind of zoom out. It doesn't take the camera there yet, but it takes it selects them so you can zoom out and see where they are.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
You can't really see, so
Yeah.
yeah. So what is
Did
the
you
issue
hit-
that it says? This is the too
I was
close.
gonna say-
Too close in
Yeah.
proximity.
Yeah, this probably needs. I think it's using. There's something that we're gonna do better once we have the new rendering system, because right now it's not easy to get the actual bounding box of the objects. So we kind of have to go by some kind of made up size for the objects. Although how much does it say they're apart?
Oh, let me go back onto that 2 seconds.
This is less than a meter.
They were touching.
0.3 meters.
Um,
0.3 meters. I thought is what it
It says
triggers.
0.3?
Maybe.
It shouldn't show 0.3.
Maybe. I don't know.
0.144.
So we're talking. So that's like 10 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Are you sure there's not more than one on there?
In the same place?
Yeah.
What, like
it
inside of each
it
other or
says-
something, like hidden?
It says dolly. Okay, so maybe it's using the outer bounds of the bounding box. I'll have to check that.
I was going to say, because they look like relatively normal. Of course, if you was to make a
if
ramp
you-
area
if
look
you-
realistic, then
If you if you go back to the checker and
Yep.
and select those two same objects, it's those two that are close, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it's probably something that needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, they're selected.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that one has a box that's a little too big.
Okay.
But it's those kinds of things
Chris,
that we're trying
Chris
to have.
Levitt was saying. Chris
Yeah.
Levitt was saying it's probably because of the hitches, the hitch. On
yeah.
The dolly.
No, it doesn't. So the way it's done, since I don't have the actual bounding like radius of those objects, we use like for when we create an object in the sim, we kind of say, okay, this object has a bounding radius of like 3 meters, and this is also what we use for selecting objects. Because you don't have to click exactly on the object. We don't have proper picking yet. Like picking is when you click on an object and it click on pixels, and we can figure out what's the object that's being rendered at that pixel. We don't have a way to do that efficiently at this time. But once we have the new system, it's something that's going to be much easier to do.
Cool.
We're getting relatively close to the stream ends. Now we've got about 15 minutes until we have to wrap up. So just very quickly to everybody watching, we've got 2 exciting things that are going on. We'll do a month sub giveaway. And in addition to that, of course, as mentioned at the start of the stream, we will show a work in progress shot of something which is really, really exciting. Laura spent a lot of time on it recently. And it's very, very cool. Should we show it now or should we show it at the end? To spice things up. We've been on the editor for the whole duration, an hour and 12 minutes. Should we throw something in there?
I don't know. Up to you.
Let's do it. Let's let Matt vote. Matt, what do you think?
I was gonna say do it now.
Yeah, okay. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Of course, there'll be a short delay on your end, Laura, Matt.
Sure now. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
This is awesome.
So that's the F-18 and an experiment with the afterburners. And
At first, when I saw this, I didn't think that it was actually real, if I'm being completely honest.
really,
I was like, wait, there's no way.
no, it actually
It
works
looks
pretty well.
looks really good.
I
Looks
had
really
to-
good.
I had to get some help from Kevin, who's our artist, no, our rendering guru, like all the effects and stuff. And it's working pretty well. There's a few things that need to be adjusted still to make it like kind of smooth and have a nice transition, but it's working pretty well, and it looks very bright and hot, and it gives that sense of power to the plane when you're flying it.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
really cool.
Looks fantastic. I like the light strips down the side as well. They look really cool. I mean, it just looks. I'm not a massive military person, but it does excite me, especially seeing military aircraft in person. And when one like this is coming to infinite flight, it does make me excited. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, it's a really fun plane to fly, honestly. I still have a lot of tweaking to do with the actual physics, and for this, there's some data that I found about the stall speeds and everything, but it doesn't really give us information about, when you see a video at Oshkosh, for example, and the pilot pulls like heavy G's, it's hard to kind of tell what was the angle of attack during the entire maneuver. So I kind of have to look at the video and try to see, reproduce the same kind of maneuver and see if it feels the same way. Because obviously, having that kind of data is probably secret. So, but it's a fun
I don't
thing.
know, we have some pretty talented community members out there who like to do angular math and all sorts of stuff with works in progress that you've shared, right?
I mean, they're probably gonna be like, this is 2 degrees off or whatever. I mean, the good thing for like the F-18 is like very little people at that plane flight actually have flown it. So
Well,
if there's any F-18 pilots out there,
Tom Cruise will come and
Should be a fun
criticize
thing.
your work next, Laura.
yeah. I mean, the only way to figure it out is to have me on a ride, So
Well,
I'm open,
inquire.
I'm open to it. Just let me know where and when.
So when that F-18 at Oshkosh starts doing some crazy maneuvers, I'll know that you've jumped in it and taken it for a quick spin.
Yeah. Just for like, research purposes.
Yeah, you have to hunt one of the fighter pilots down and have them try it out. See,
Yeah, for sure.
see if they can give any immediate feedback.
Yeah. The thing is, like, probably very different for them to fly with the iPad versus like the stick. So,
Mhm.
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can find, like, typically there's, on a week at Oshkosh, there's going to be fighter pilots, walking around, either on or off duty, or maybe even retired pilots. So, yeah.
Are there any?
You never know.
Of course, we're showing this work in progress shot. I don't know if this is pushing it, but are there any? Is there a livery we can show which is complete, or would you like to hold back on that?
We could probably show that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's leave it to
Let's-
Jason.
Yeah. Leave it to Jason.
Somewhat.
Jason loves that stuff.
Yeah.
I think whilst we're here, and this is of course on the screen, we should roll with it and do a giveaway. So I'll very quickly set up a keyword giveaway, and I know I've said this 101 times, and I do apologize to those who have been tuning into every stream and hear me say this all the time, but the way that this giveaway works is a keyword giveaway, and all you have to do is type a specific word into the chat and you'll automatically be entered. Of course, if you are entering, this is the most important part. please stick around. Just hold tight, because if you win and you've tuned out of the stream, then you, of course, won't know if you've won the prize, and we'll have to re-roll it and give it to somebody else, because you simply won't be here to claim it. So if you are entering, hold tight. You may win a 1 month of Infinite Flight Pro. Let's see. Matt, on Discord, would you like to come up with a keyword?
Sure. Does it have to be a certain length?
It can be any length. I think shorter the better, just in case there are any like typos or anything in the chat. Awesome. Okay, cool.
That work?
That works.
Work?
Yeah,
It's
that
pretty
works.
easy.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that works perfectly. I'll set that up now very quickly. Okay, so for a chance to win 1 month of Infinite Flight Pro, all you have to do is type, Matt, what's the keyword?
Kord, K-O-R-D.
Into the chat.
It's Chicago hair, K-O-R-D.
That's when the chat goes absolutely wild and nobody can stay up to date. We've already got 20 entries, 27 now.
There they go.
33. The numbers just rocket. Let me switch back to the editor in just a second and show some of the AC units that I'm placing on the roof here. We'll roll the giveaway first, of course. We can't see any questions in the chat because all that's being spammed in the chat is Cord right now.
Cameron, you're
Anthony, thank you very much for the sub.
Cameron typed in cord as in like a rope.
Oh, really?
You're fired.
Okay, let's see. We'll do a countdown from 10. Matt.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's do it.
We have liftoff.
The winner is Tyler. Tyler, that better not be you again. I remember the first stream we done on Twitch. Tyler won the giveaway, didn't it?
I do remember that. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
Tyler who? Is it just Tyler?
It's just Tyler. Yeah, Tyler, if you're in the chat, could you let us know? Say yay, hey, hello, whatever. And of course, to claim this prize, you'll have to provide us with your Infinite Flight Community Forum username, or alternatively, we can get in touch on Instagram. So Instagram name is also just as good. Oh, that's me, they said. Yes, Tyler, it's you indeed. But what's really handy about Nightbot here is it pulls out the individual comments that the user comments, so it's really easy to...
Oh, you can pick out.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's really useful. Right, okay, let's go back to the airport really quickly then. Where's the work in progress shot? There we go. Okay, so very quickly, and just to everybody watching, you don't have to type cord into the chat anymore. Going to place some AC units on the roof just to make it that tad bit more realistic. If we go into object and click auto altitude, it will automatically align that object with the height of the building that's been placed. And I'm referring to some images here to see if these are accurately placed, which this one is. And there'll be a couple of these on this roof. So I can copy that, which will keep its height. I can change its orientation if need be. And I'll just scatter these around. So there's one more or less exactly the same to the right-hand side of this, in which I'll place it there. It just makes it that tad bit more immersive. Of course, it'd be much better to pull up to a terminal with some fine detail rather than a really, really blank canvas. If you've got any final questions in the chat, that'd be amazing. We're coming to an end soon on this stream, so definitely take advantage of it.
Do you have time to show how to place a jet bridge?
I can show how to place a jet bridge.
It doesn't have to be complex, just something simple.
I'll just place, yeah, I'll just do a really, let me find a...
People have been asking.
Sure, let me have a look. See if there's a nice, small, simple one we can... Okay, awesome, right, let's see.
think jet bridges are a little intimidating for folks. Some of our editors, they've kind of made mention that jet bridges can be a little intimidating, but they're really not that bad.
Yeah, the process has been simplified quite a bit from the beginning. There was a lot of some kind of like transition period between the static bridges and the new ones. And I think eventually we're probably going to have a system where you don't have to manually place those parts of the objects, like the extensions and the base and everything. You'll just the final goal is to have things like the model lines, where you draw the skeleton on the ground, where it starts, where it ends, and then it will just automatically create the network of those diverged parts for you. But that's a little further down the line, and there's a bunch of helpers as well, like to kind of reconnect them and set the altitude and everything.
Let's see.
Crazy B says you need to fix the roof orientation.
The roof orientation of this particular part here?
Maybe. I mean, there's one that's...
I autoed it.
Yeah,
it's the top centerpiece, maybe?
The top centerpiece is a little bit odd, yeah. I did press the auto button.
Yeah, the way the auto works is that it finds the longest stretch of the object and uses that as the alignment angle. So if you have an object that kind of does what yours does on the top floor, then it's going to pick out the middle part. And so the outsides are not going to look that great. So
I see what you're trying to say here is we should align it with a layer underneath it.
Well, it's always going to be kind of funky. I mean, you could try with the layer underneath, but then you kind of lose the perspective.
That's what I mean. And sometimes I feel like when there's that crosshatch, I mean, of course, not always the right way to do it, but when there's a different roof orientation, it makes it pop out a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in that case, like the ideal solution would be to split those parts into two.
Yeah.
So you have like individual orientation for both. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal, honestly. It's not that crazy.
Well, there we go. We'll have one last look at 𝗠𝗘𝗠𝗕𝗏 very quickly. Laura, can we talk about custom towers?
Sure. So the towers, so we have a set of different models that we use for the sim. So there's like one that there's like a large tower, which I think is modeled after the Harrisburg one. And there's like a medium and a small one. And also one that just has the cab. And that's good enough for some default airports. But we also have ways, like what you've seen at LAX and a bunch of others, to have either special terminals or special towers. And that's basically selected based on feedback and what the usage of those airports. You can see here, this is, I'm not sure which one this is. Yeah, but you have a whole bunch of different towers.
This is Abu Dhabi Tower. And then the one next to it we have, let me double check actually, VT, that's Bangkok, isn't it? I believe that's Bangkok.
Yeah, I think that's Bangkok, yeah.
We can spawn the London Heathrow Tower. Next to that, LAX. This is awesome. We can make a massive row of towers.
And that's in the hopes that, eventually we can have, third-party editors build those towers without having to go through us. They could just like have them and packaged up and available on the server. So that kind of stuff is something that we would love to eventually have.
We're having some fun here. Well, that's a really small tower. Madrid.
Yeah.
And then the other Madrid tower here. Significantly larger.
I think Las Vegas is down there too.
Let's have a look.
Some of them don't have a picture.
Yeah, looking for Las. Am I being blind or can I? There it is. Yeah, it's a big, big, big tower. We're making a city out of towers here. Atlanta. Let's put that one in.
There's a question that was asked for Chris in the chat. Do they also use the scenery editor to create those starting spots? Yes, it's the same concept. You can probably see them in the editor here. You just set the type of airplane that can spot at these start locations, and they show up in the sim. Very similar.
My iPad does not like it when I turn all of that stuff. It's like, no, stop.
You can see here the gate, the type of services that are offered, that type of stuff.
It's pretty neat stuff. Well, we're 1 hour 28 in. I feel like at this point we've layered. Let me quickly turn off these start points because it's really sending my iPad crazy. We've layered part of Concourse L here. Of course, within future streams, we'll make more progress on this airport. We'll do some work behind the scenes, of course, and get things up to date. We'll do some of the cooler things on the stream, for example, like adding jet bridges when that time comes, and detailing the airport with ground objects, for example, stuff around the ramp, vehicles, cones, the stand guidance and whatnot, all of that cool stuff. But that's it for this stream. Hopefully it's given you a good idea about the editor and what goes on behind the scenes, of course. Thank you so much, Laura and Matt, for coming here today to talk about it. I know, Laura, you've been dying to talk about this for a very, very, very long time. There's been times where in our chat, Laura's been very eager to say, can I say this, please? I'm like, no. But there we go. Laura can now openly talk about her absolute masterpiece here in Infinite Flight. And Laura, again, I believe this was a random Saturday idea of yours, wasn't it? A task that you set, and it turned into this.
The editor? Well,
yeah.
Not really. It's more like it started as from a discussion with Philippe, and when I said, I'm kind of tired of having people criticize Infinite Flight because of the lack of buildings, so we need to do something about it. And then he said, well, if we need buildings, we need an editor, because how are you going to have buildings without an editor? So that's why I started working on that part. And yeah, I think I posted screenshots on my Twitter. There's like a Twitter thread about the editor and how it started. And at the beginning, it was just a few things, and it kind of grew organically around this project, and it's pretty cool how it turned out.
Awesome turnout indeed. Well, Laura, thank you very much for hopping on today. Matt, thank you so much. If you would like to say your last words for this stream, then you're more than welcome.
I was just going to say thanks for having me on. It was fun. And yeah, we'll just be hopeful and be looking forward to what other cool airports folks are going to be able to create.
Can't wait.
And thank you so much for the face reveal.
Well,
there we go. Awesome
Here
stuff.
I am.
Everybody was so excited.
Nah, it's all good. It was fun. I enjoy it.
No, good. I'm glad you
It's
enjoy
fun
it.
stuff.
I can imagine on your end it's a little bit
absolutely.
different to what it's like here on the streaming end. Of course, there's no audio for you. There's no music and whatnot, so it can be quite plain and boring.
Yeah,
but
it's a little different, but
yeah,
it
definitely.
is what it is. Yeah.
Well,
We'll
yeah,
figure
this
it
is
out
this is
eventually.
the output on this end, isn't it? It's how it works. Everything's put together in a encoder, and boom, that's what it looks like on YouTube. So a lot of magic goes on
Yeah.
for it to look like and sound like what it does. But there we have it. There we have it.
Good stuff. Cool.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I would like to thank everybody for watching this new and unique stream. Of course, we'll turn this into somewhat of a series, and we'll stream a couple more streams like this with this airport in particular, and we make more progress on it. With that being said, I can't really say keep the dirty side down because we've not been flying any planes today. So enjoy Infinite Flight.
We'll have to come up with a good tagline for
Yeah,
for
yeah,
these
definitely.
editing streams.
Happy crashing.
Happy autosave.
Happy autosave, yeah. Oh no. Oh, well, there we go. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been my pleasure to, of course, stream again for you all and show you this. It's thank you so much for the opportunity, Laura, making this all public and whatnot. It's great to be able to do something different as well. You know, we do so much flying on this channel, and to be able to spice up the content now is brilliant, and it's nice. It's refreshing as well and motivating. So there we have it. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, as always. Enjoy the rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.